Now, when you are familiar with closed-loop ticketing system, let's discuss pros and cons of an open-loop one. This will allow you better understand what you get when you decide to implement open-loop fare collection system from scratch, or you decide to migrate from closed-loop you already have. Open-loop systems can enhance your city's appeal to tourists, assuming your city attracts a significant number of visitors. Additionally, they can improve user satisfaction by eliminating the need for additional cards. By reducing expenses related to card issuance and distribution, such as bulky vending machines, you can lower your cost of fare collection, COFC. However, the reality is more complex. There are several challenges to consider when implementing an open-loop ticketing system. First, it's important to note that pure open-loop implementations do not exist yet. Even the most advanced and well-funded transit systems worldwide, which have invested billions in ticketing infrastructure, still retain some closed-loop components. For example, leading fare collection innovators have achieved open-loop adoption rates of 60% after more than a decade of development, while smaller transit operators may be satisfied with just a 30% adoption rate. One reason for this is that many patrons do not have bank accounts and prefer to use cash, tokens, or paper tickets. In many societies, including unbanked populations is considered essential. Consequently, you will need to issue closed-loop cards for these users and maintain the infrastructure for card distribution and cash top-ups. Alternatively, you might have to accept cash directly on buses and at subway gates, or sell paper tickets or tokens at vending machines. There is a certain share of patrons which do not have credit cards. Despite many good intentions, open-loop systems that accept debit cards do not exist. There are many reasons for that, such as poor user experience for debit card holders and risks associated with insufficient bank account balances. Like unbanked patrons, these debit card holders will require closed-loop card distribution and top-up infrastructure. This is how your combined closed-loop and open-loop system architecture will look like. The card vending machines are still there. We already discussed that they can be fully or partially replaced by a retail network or by accepting cash at validators. Another challenge on your open-loop path, also affecting cost of fare collection and adoption rate negatively, is the cost of card acquiring for small value transactions. Your validators essentially becomes a card-present transaction point of sale, POS, introducing various costs discussed below. We now have a connection between the acquiring processor and validators that did not exist in pure closed loop. This is a new level of complexity and dependency that comes with the open loop. You will need to ensure your account-based ticketing system complies with Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard (PCI DSS) regulations, which necessitates using only PCI DSS compliant card readers, validators, and software, along with periodic audits. Furthermore, payment schemes such as Visa, MasterCard, and American Express require certification for your card acceptance devices, usually conducted by the acquirer in collaboration with your ticketing system vendor. Additionally, you will incur fees from your acquiring processor, typically including a per-transaction fee component of around 20 cents, in addition to a per-amount fee. For instance, if your transit fares are approximately $2, the per-transaction fee could add 10% to your COFC. In contrast, closed-loop COFC for card balance top-ups tend to be lower, as patrons usually only top up their cards once every few trips. For example, if the average top-up is $20, the acquiring process's 20-cent per transaction fee would only add 1% to your COFC. Another cost-related issue in open-loop processing involves the risks associated with card-present transactions. Regular card-present transaction latencies can range from 1 to 5 seconds, which is the time needed to receive a response to the authorization request. To maintain validation throughput below 350 milliseconds per fare tap, validators must validate the trip before receiving authorization responses. The potential risk of granting a free first ride may not be significant, but the complexity of recovering the first ride cost can be substantial. The intricate regulations of payment schemes designed to enforce first ride cost recovery can make the logic of your ABT system and staff training more expensive. Ultimately, you may find that your COFC is higher with open-loop fare payments than with closed-loop systems, especially since you cannot eliminate the closed-loop components. As a result, many transit agencies discourage patrons from making open-loop fare payments where closed-loop options are available, often providing additional discounts for closed-loop ones. This approach may not significantly concern occasional patrons, such as tourists, who have already invested considerable amounts in flights and accommodations. After spending €2,000 to visit your city, why worry about a few non-discounted €3 card taps? In conclusion, transitioning to an open-loop system will not eliminate the need for a closed-loop system and will not decrease your integral COFC. In our next video, we will discuss the advantages of the open-loop model that Universal Ticketing Agent offers.